Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Many of the TV shows that we brothers watch were miseducating us as related to the models of relationships and dating. And many of the TV shows we watched ever since the rise of the feminist movement oftentimes present us with male characters who do not provide us with healthy models for manhood, but instead present us with dysfunctional models of manhood, which lead to us winding up on a road to a paradigm of failure. And one of the examples of this is the William Dent character on the TV show Girlfriends, which ran, I believe, from about 2000 to 2009 or 2010 or so. And on that show, we had Reggie Brooks basically being the male friend to Joan, Tony, Maya, and Lynn, and as the male friend to Joan, Maya, Tony, and Lynn, he was supposed to be the idealized version of the good guy from a woman's perspective that they really don't see. And that's the model that Maya Brock Akil wanted to present as related to William, but from a man's perspective, William basically was one of the worst simps to ever grace television ever since George Costanza and David Healy came on Roseanne and Seinfeld. And what makes William one of the worst simps in television history is his whole approach to his relationship with these so-called female friends, because his so-called approach to being a friend to all four of these women is basically something I talked about in my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, and looking to try to come in sideways. Now, when it comes to guys who are looking to be the so-called male friend to women, these guys are basically completely full of it, because what these guys are basically are too scared to go out here and let a woman know that they're interested. And because they're too scared to let a woman know that they're interested, what they do is go out here looking to pretend to be friends. And as they look to pretend to be friends, what they do is create a covert contract where they believe that if they show how good a man they are by participating in a series of good deeds, eventually what will happen is the women will see how good they are and eventually hope to offer a branch for a relationship. And this is the same as a beta male orbiter, and what he's doing is looking to orbit around these women, and what he wants to do is orbit around the women, hoping, wishing, and praying eventually they'll see all of the good traits that he has and think that eventually we can consider this guy to be a catch. And this whole approach is a complete failure for a dude, because when you come in sideways, you basically are coming from a position of weakness. And because you are coming from a position of weakness, many of the women that you're trying to impress basically have no respect for you. And they have no respect for a man coming in sideways, because he's not coming from a position of strength, because a man who comes from a position of strength has the intangible of confidence, and that intangible of confidence shows him as a leader. And because he is a leader, the women see him as somebody they can trust to be able to be the head of the household. So William's whole initial approach basically was one of coming from a position of weakness, but we are told he is a good man, and we're told he's a good man because he's got a college education and a good job at the law firm that Joan works at. But the whole thing is what makes William a weak dude is the fact that he's not a guy who is looking to set a course and a direction for himself, and a man who is strong enough to assert himself, to go after what he wants and come out openly and say what he wants up front. And that whole passive approach is why he gets passed by and is in the friend zone with Joan, Maya, Tony, and Lynn. And as he's in that friend zone, he's thinking that he's in a good place. But no, dude is not in a good place. He is in a place where he basically is someone that these women don't see as strong or masculine or radiating any sort of masculine energy that they would find attractive. No, he's the kind of guy who they basically see in the background with the energy of a brother or some sort of child, because when it comes to simps like this, they're not seeing that their inability to show confidence and leadership, this is what undermines them as related to their whole social paradigm. What undermines them as related to their whole social paradigm is the fact that these men don't come out the gate strong, and they don't have the courage or the confidence to go up to the front door face to face and express what they want from minute one. Because usually most women know if they're interested in a guy within the first 5 seconds of looking at them. And if a guy is looking and acting weak, he's basically somebody they're not going to see as an individual that they're going to consider for a serious relationship. No, in most of those cases, what they're going to see that guy is as a sweetheart, and others will see him as a person they can go out here and run their errands. So they're not seeing them as a leader, but somebody following behind them. And once a woman sees a dude as somebody they can follow behind, basically that guy's whole role is not to be somebody they consider for a relationship as their man, but consider them to be the cleanup dude who will basically clean up all their messes. And that's what William does on the show, girlfriends. He basically is the ultimate clean-up man. And as he's the Pullman porter cleaning up the messes of Joan, Tony, Maya, and Lynn's life, they basically use him to go out here and clean up their garbage, all while they sit there and have the relationships with the dudes that they really want. And as they get with the dudes that they really want, they leave William in the background. And as William is in the background, he went out and got involved with a woman named Monica. And this woman named Monica, she was a gold digger and basically was playing William. And she played William because she saw that he was a simp. Even though he was a quote-unquote high-value man, she didn't see any value in that man because she saw how weak he was. And when women see a dude as weak, they don't care how much money you got. You're just another tool for them to use. And that's what happened with William on the first run-in with Monica. Monica was just using him to get some clout for herself as related to getting with this high-value man, and using him as a utility to basically elevate her social status and be able to get some stuff for herself. She had no respect for William, and that's where his relationship basically was falling apart with Monica, because if you don't have respect, you don't have the foundation of a relationship, and if you don't have respect, that woman has no regard for you at all. And that's what flew over the head with William with Monica in their first relationship. He basically didn't understand that this woman had no respect for him. And that's what happens with a lot of simps, because a lot of simps basically are just so eager to get attention from a woman that they're not seeing that the attention that they're receiving is negative. because there's a difference between positive and negative attention, and you don't want to get the negative attention, because the negative attention basically is the woman showing you she has no respect for you. And if she has no respect for you, it doesn't matter how much stuff you buy her, how many places you take her. She's just basically biding time with you until somebody better comes along. And that's what a lot of women do with these simps. They basically just bide their time with those guys until the guy that they want to get with becomes available. Then they go get with that dude, get their back blown out by that dude, and will come back to you. And that's what happened with him with Monica in the first encounter. Now, eventually, Joan, Maya, Tony, and Lynn managed to show him the truth about Monica, and it wasn't because they cared about William. No, it was because they needed him to be their utility, because they were out here getting him to be the cleanup man who was the janitor as related to cleaning up their messes, and they were using him as the janitor to go out here and clean up their garbage. And if their janitor was out here cleaning up another woman's messes, they wouldn't be available to clean up theirs. So they needed to keep their cleanup man in reserve. And poor William just couldn't see where he was standing as a man in this show created by a black woman. But as a black man, I saw where this dude was standing, and it's not a place any brother wants to be, because when you are in the clean-up position, you're basically sitting in the basement waiting for these women to pay you some attention. And as they're out here getting with whoever they want, getting their backs blown out, then you're sitting there hoping, wishing, and praying for a chance at an opportunity at a relationship with them. And in the later seasons of Girlfriends, that's where William basically thought he had an opportunity, because as these women, Joan, Tony, Maya, and Lynn, were getting older, that's when Joan, Lynn, and Lynn were getting desperate, because Maya was already married, and she actually blew her chance at a hypergamy, because the whole situation with the guy at the law firm blew up, and she had to go back to her husband in an embarrassing fashion. And Joan and Lynn basically could not find a man due to their dysfunctional issues, and they started looking at William and looking at him as an option. And again, William was never their first option. He was just a dude who was, again, there to be the cleanup man. And the first to look to get with William was Lynn, because Lynn had basically been getting her back blown out by multiple dudes, and her artsy-fartsy lifestyle and her inability to hold a job, this made her unattractive to men who were looking to lead and build. Most of those men who were looking to lead and build looked at Lynn with her multiple degrees and no real ability to maintain her finances and maintain a household or be able to look to be a helpmeet. They saw her as not somebody viable for a relationship, but she knew she could head over to William the Simp and look to get involved with him, and look to get involved with him and be with him for a while. But that relationship wound up falling apart, because William the Simp, basically, he didn't know how to work with a relationship, and Lynn didn't know how to work with a relationship. And then after that whole deal with Lynn and William failed, that's where Joan started to look at William, and started to look at William to be her cleanup man as related to her business, the J Spot, because she quit her job to start the restaurant, and then decided to have, because she couldn't handle the work, William took over, and they started looking to date each other. But the whole situation was, he was basically, again, another cleanup man, hoping to create a covert contract where this would lead to something serious, but it didn't really come into anything. And with William basically not being able to get with the women he was orbiting around, he started to get desperate. And as he started to get desperate, that's when he started to orbit around Monica once again, looking to chase Monica. And as he looked to chase Monica, this is where we see William becoming desperate as a simp, because instead of him realizing that this woman is a gold digger who had no respect for him, he continued to look to desperately try to look to get married to this woman, trying to patch together a relationship out of codependency. And with her friends, they were looking to try to encourage him to paste together this whole situation that destined to fail. But William continued to chase this woman who already things had shown to be failed, and this is the desperation of a simp, because men who are leaders understand, look, if something didn't work, then you charge them to the game and move on. And because that man understands his value, he understands that he can do better. So he's not looking to orbit around women. No, he's looking to be the sun that women revolve around. And he's looking to be a leader. And as a leader, he's setting course for himself. And he will deal with whoever gravitates around him. He's not looking to orbit around women and follow women the way William did on Girlfriends. No, he's looking to be his own man. And that's what Maya Brockakill didn't really get about the quote-unquote good man. She was trying to make an ideal out of William, but he was just a punchline of a cruel joke. And he was a punchline of a cruel joke because even though he was the guy who had the law degree, even though he was the guy who had the high-value job, he didn't have value to the people in his life. And he didn't have value to the people in his life because he was just a tool and a utility. And he was a tool and a utility because he didn't understand what it meant to be a man in a leadership position. And that's one of the saddest things to come out of television for the last, I'd say, about 40 years, since the late 1960s. We have not really seen examples of men being leaders or being men who can set a direction and men who know how to approach and have a healthy relationship with women. That's what I see when I was watching William on Girlfriends. I didn't see a healthy model of manhood presented in that show. I didn't see an ideal of a good man. No, all I saw was an ideal of a simp. And when I looked at this simp, he basically was there just to be a utility for the women, be the cleanup man for the women. And after the women got through using him, he wound up on a paradigm of failure, chasing somebody who already things didn't work out, not understanding going back to something that failed is the definition of insanity, because doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result is a failure. Now, some people will say, oh, Monica was somebody who was making a lot of money, but relationships are not about money. Relationships are about respect, and if you don't have respect, you have no relationship. That's what many men out here are learning from many of these TV shows. They're learning that, oh, I have to have money to get a woman. No, you may need to get money to be able to go certain places if you want to be able to have go out here and be able to be with that woman someplace and see how she behaves. But the whole thing is, if she doesn't respect you, then it's not even worth taking her to those places or trying to get the money together to take her to those places, because if you don't have respect, you have no relationship. And that's what William never really got on the show, Girlfriends. He never really had a relationship because he had no respect. And that's the thing that if I write TV shows, I'm going to put in them, and I put them in my books like the John Haynes series and many of my other books. If you don't have respect, you don't have a relationship, and that's a lesson many men aren't learning in our gynocentric mainstream media, because gynocentric mainstream media, it's all about presenting women as the ones with problems, but never showing us responsible images of men. That's what we didn't get on Maya Braca Kills, girlfriends, and what we got with William wasn't a good man. No, we got the good simp, and again, the good simp is the guy who comes out after the women have gotten their backs blown out by the guys they want to get with, and then they go and get with him, not out of love, but out of convenience, because they're basically out of options, because they're headed down the road to bust downtown. And that's basically what happened to a lot of the women on Girlfriends. They basically were on the road to bust downtown because they were trying to be like the white girls of Sex in the City. And the white girls of Sex in the City, it really didn't work out for them either, because they didn't understand the dynamics of male-female relationships. And when it comes to male-female relationships, women want a man who is a leader, a man who is out here and has his own, works on his own purpose, has his own direction, and wants to know where he wants to go. Not a guy who's sitting in the back orbiting around women, hoping they'll see how good he is. Because if you don't see how good you are and don't see your value as a man, you can't expect any woman out here to see your value as a man either. Now, if you want to learn how to avoid the paradigm that William Dent presented on the show, Girlfriends, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, on Amazon.com by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to learn about the big mistake that William made on Girlfriends, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping, in the Workplace, because the biggest mistake that William made was being friends with women on the job, and that can jam you up if you go out here and follow that weak paradigm of looking for a partner at your job or orbiting around women at your job. So you can find Stop Simping and Stop Simping in the Workplace on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And if you want to see some healthy examples of black manhood and black masculinity, you can pick up the books of the John Haynes series on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can find those books, The Temptation of John Haynes, The Man Who Rules the World, John Haynes, A Conversation with Death, John Haynes, Dark Succubus, John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business, John Haynes, At Death's Door, and John Haynes, Illuminati, and all the books that were featuring John Haynes in the Isis and Esteem series. You can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and you can also find them at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about dating and relationships and the Simps on TV, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, Illuminati on Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in digital format at Amazon.com, Google Play, Draft to Digital, and other digital booksellers, or pick up your paperback copy on May 24th. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.